everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What's Happening SBC. I'm your host, Deborah Robertson. 2020 was a year of challenges for many of us as we faced the COVID-19 pandemic head-on. For many of us, it caused stress and uncertainty. We also put on COVID pounds as we faced these stresses. Today, our guest is Chef Pandorina Sumas, or Chef Pan, as she is known around the SBC. She will share with us some healthier ways of eating and how to handle life stresses from a healthier point of view. Culinary historian and artisan Chef Pan is a rooted native of New Orleans and surrounding South Louisiana parishes, but she resides in North Louisiana in Bossier City. Though the Sumas family had strong traveling ties to the military through her father, the Sumas family never lost touch with their cultural roots out of New Orleans and surrounding South Louisiana parishes as they traveled abroad. Coming from a long lineage of Creole culinary artisans, Chef Pandorina contributes Sumas Heritage Creole creation products and catering with Creole culture and cuisine, and author of Sumas Heritage Creole Cookbook to both maternal, paternal, and extended South Louisiana Creole ancestors. Chef Pandorina Sumas is a well-respected and known for past years participating in major well-known area events such as the Mudbug Madness Festival, the Red River Revel Festival, Shreveport Farmers Market, LSUS Continuing Education Cooking Courses, and a strong networking and marketing affiliation with the Shreveport-Bossier Tourism Commission. Chef Pandorina's vast variety of small and large Creole culture-themed catering venues have graced many events throughout Northwest Louisiana. Chef Pan, welcome to the show. You have strong ties here in the SBC, and you are well known by many. Is there anything you'd like to add to your introduction?
I think you got the roo-boo.
According to WebMD article by Jennifer Casarella on September 27, 2020, stress can cause both binge eating and the desire to overeat. It's common for people to use food to deal with tension and other emotions they want to turn off, including anger, sadness, and boredom. It can lead to a cycle of binging that goes like this. When you're stressed, you eat a lot. After you overeat, you feel bad or worried about weight gain, which makes you more stressed. Chef Pan, many of us at BPCC have dealt with so many changes this past year with facing the pandemic and going from classrooms to online learning. What are some of the ways we can reduce stress by healthier eating?
There's many ways, just find what discipline works for you. Cutting back on snacks, don't buy them. I found buying graham crackers. That's something less calories. You still got to watch it with that. Incorporate more fruit. Change your location where you eat lunch. Go sit at a park with the weather getting a little nicer now. Even though some restaurants are still opening, maybe kind of not frequent them as well. But if you're doing, choose something a little lighter.
Okay.
Choose something a little lighter.
There are healthier ways to handle stress. Exercise is one of them. You can go for a walk or take an aerobics class. Staying active keep your mind off the fridge and the pantry. You can also meditate, which is focus on your breath for a little while. Yoga is a great way to meditate and exercise at the same time. You can eat healthy, comfort foods. When you feel the urge to eat, turn to foods that can make you feel good without adding fat and calories.
Absolutely.
One example is using a baked sweet potato instead of a regular potato. Using brown rice instead of white rice. You could also get support. When you feel like reaching for the cookie jar, call a friend or a relative.
Right.
Chef Pan, you're known for Louisiana cooking, and that is what I love, and that's your specialty.
Yes.
How can I cook healthier Louisiana foods?
There's ways to go around it. It's extremely hard with Creole Louisiana food. It's very hard because we're known for the po' boys. That's usually the bread. For example, for a po' boy, whether you're using the South Louisiana traditional Gambinos or another brand, oyster po' boy, for example, instead of putting 8 oysters on there, maybe do 4, and then up your vegetables, the lettuce, tomato, the onions,
right,
and maybe try some other vegetables. Try to put maybe shred some broccoli. You know, there's always an added that you can add to it, you know. I have also found that it's part of a discipline, but it can be done. A lot of the cookies and the, you know, because we're all guilty. I like some of, just don't buy it.
Right.
And then I found that some of the stores, say for instance, because I saw it and almost had a mild heart attack, cheesecake. I love cheese. But now you can buy one slice.
Oh,
you can
okay.
buy
That's
the one, it's in a one
point.
slice, you
Right.
know. So cutting your portions, and just not, you know, keep the cookies in the store.
Right.
And if you do treat yourself, maybe, you know, now that you can buy maybe 2 cookies, you know, the walking is excellent. You know, of course, our Winter Wonderland kind of got all of us off course, because I was walking at least every other day. The Winter Wonderland kind of took me off course, and plus I work out of my home. But really, that good 30, 45-minute walk, it really does clear your head. And if the weather's really pretty, and you know, that's a number one.
So get out and get at it.
Yes, and also check you can eat out. When I say eat out, there's nature parks. A lot of the parks now offer information about nature. Take a bag lunch out there. You know, and that also gives you social distancing. If you're taking somebody with you, you can sit at a park table. You're outside. You're still being social distance and safe. You know, the air circulating.
Right.
So, and if you're going by yourself, take a book, you know, and if you are doing games and stuff on your phone, but instead of taking something so heavily in food calories, take something light, you know.
Well, that sounds great. I know that eating out can get expensive and cause us to gain weight faster. What are some ways we at home can incorporate cooking into our busy schedule?
I have found, I was a single parent, but though I live alone now, if you know, more people are cooking at home now because it is expensive, and you know, of course, we still got the social distancing. For example, one of the traditions in Creole cooking out of South Louisiana is cooking red beans on Monday. Cook enough where you can freeze. You know, you can put them in containers. And if you're trying to watch your weight or meat intake, instead of loading it up with a lot of pork, either do smoked turkey or eliminate meat altogether. You can season it with liquid smoke, extra onions and garlic. Right. You know, but cook enough, and you figure with beans, that's very inexpensive. And then to add to that, sometimes if you're not cooking red beans, do a navy bean and kale.
Okay.
And with the liquid smoke, and if you're gonna try to eliminate some of the meat with the calories, do a little bit. You know, just very little, like smoked turkey, maybe just 1 or 2 pieces for flavor. Okay. And after you eat off of it a day or two, container, freeze it, and it's there. It's there.
Well, that sounds good. Now we're going to go to a short commercial break.
My name is Joshua Waldrop. I'm the Director of Bands and Instructor of Music here at Bossier Parish Community College. So after high school, I enrolled in BPCC. I got my associate's degree. I went on to pursue my bachelor's and master's. I performed in symphonies across the Arklatex. I've traveled the United States playing in bands, spending time at recording studios. I'm very excited to bring it back to BPCC for you.
I'm Gulia Chandler. I'm a music program director here at Bossier Parish Community College. We offer an associate degree in performing arts with concentration in music. And also, we now have a new concentration, which is called music production and technology.
So maybe you're like me and you have a history of concert band and you want to pursue that past high school or jazz band. Maybe you're a singer and you want to be in the choir. Or if you don't want to play your instrument, maybe you want to do sound recording and technology. Whatever it is, we have it for you at BPCC. We have a wonderful performance hall here that seats around 300 that we use throughout the whole school year.
If you're not a music major, you can join choir or band. You don't have to be a music major. You can study whatever you want, but you can participate in those ensembles. One of the best things about Bossier Parish Community College is that we offer music scholarships.
So we have some wonderful opportunities here at BPCC that we'd love for you to take advantage of. Come talk to myself or Dr. Chandler. We'd love to show you what's going on at BPCC.
Welcome back. I'm Deborah, and our guest today is Chef Pan. The picture we saw earlier was your collaboration with the Shreveport Tourism Bureau. How did this come about, and where was this billboard located?
Oh, how did it come about? They approached me about, and I still didn't have the concept of it, and I was like, what? Of course, I was very humbled and honored. The billboards were coming in from Texas, right when you cross over the Texas-Louisiana border, coming.
So I-20.
I-20, right before or shortly after Joella Avenue.
Okay.
And the other one was downtown, right by the Festival Plaza.
Okay.
So that was, it took me a while to kind of, I was like, that's me up there.
Yeah, I remember seeing it coming in from Texas.
Yeah.
A few times.
And it was surreal, humbling, whatever words you want to use. But, if I'm running in the store to pick up something and somebody would say, are you the lady? And I would kind of side, I was like, no, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Then they would go like this, go, yes, it was,
Yes.
or yes, it is. I said, yeah, that's me. So
Yeah.
I felt honored that even though my roots are South Louisiana, but I've been up here some years, so I still consider this home. It's an honor to represent, and I took that very seriously.
Right.
Took it very seriously with humble pride of whether the culture is different from North Louisiana to South Louisiana. If you ask me, that let me know that I must be doing something right.
Right.
So
You have done so much in introducing foods to Northwest Louisiana. Let's take a look at some pictures of foods you have prepared. I know that I love crawfish cornbread. You make it look so good. Explain to the audience, what is the Holy Trinity in cooking?
Well, the Holy Trinity in cooking is based on Catholicism out of South Louisiana. And even though they connect that, it's not really connected, but it's pretty much the basis of the onion, garlic, bell pepper, or whether you use onion, garlic, bell pepper, and celery. Yeah. That's pretty much your basic, your basis. And basically, and of course, in my family, if there was no garlic, we couldn't eat. I've seen them turn the stove off to go to the store. In other words, sometimes you run out, so I'll just use something. No.
I know, I have to have garlic. Too.
Yeah,
I
garlic, bell pepper,
And once you put that in the pot, we know you finna cook.
Cook, yeah.
Yes, that Holy Trinity is just.
And when you mention that, when I've done festivals, even though whether I did them actual food serving or either with my products, inside of my products, I have a bay leaf and a pepper.
Okay.
And I've had people that have come by and they'll, of course, I get a kick out of it. They'll look at the bay leaf and the pepper in the product, and they'll say, "Oh, she knows what she's doing." In other words, that kind of that gave the signature of that. Yep, that's it. In other words, I don't know what it tastes like, but if that's in there, it must be okay.
Now, looking at the video, we have to have a discussion on Merliton, or chayotes, also known as choca, Toyota, chocho, and choo-choo. It's an edible plant belonging to the gourd family.
Right.
I was introduced to Merliton in New Orleans, although I grew up around here. I used to shop at a Mexican store in Houston, and they were plentiful.
Yes.
What are some ways you can incorporate a Merliton in your meals?
Well, we had them. And of course, a lot of times when we traveled other places, we've lived overseas, so we couldn't find them. But, when we would go home, we'd have them either in a casserole, and it's a big Thanksgiving. We had them all the time, but mostly that's just like people have turkey and dressing or ham and something else or whatever. But Melitons were on the table, or as we say in Creole, Merliton. Pretty much, we had it as a casserole, but I had several aunts stuff them.
See, that's what I'm used to, stuffed Merliton.
You cut them in half, take that seed out, and then maybe just kind of lay them in a little salted water to get the flesh soft. Take that flesh out, and then while the flesh is being taken out, you've got either some shrimp, sausage, and okra, or shrimp and sausage and crawfish tails. Mix that with some breadcrumbs and some French bread and the Trinity, onion, garlic, bell pepper, celery, and whatever your Creole seasoning mix is. And that's probably about as close to heaven you're going to get on Thanksgiving.
Okay. Well, I know that you mentioned that your family is from Haiti. Is that?
Well, No, my great-grandmother, we found out she had Haitian connections.
Oh, Haitian connections.
Yes,
Okay.
and the connection that we got, well, I got at the time, because I went back to New Orleans after my father decided to stay here when he retired. My great-grandmother was still living. She passed in 79. She was
Okay.
born in 1900.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, just coming up, you know, late 60s, early 70s, you know, I saw certain, you know, when you ask a lot of questions, you know, and of course, there's some stuff they didn't want to talk about. You know,
Right.
that was just the way it was.
Right.
And I saw certain pictures. I said, well, who was your mother? You know, because it kind of stopped right there. She told me who she was. I got a name, but of course, she was gone. I said, well, where did they come from? You know, I didn't know. And she said, well, my family was part of the trade. Of course, back then we didn't have all the ancestry and and I would ask people, and a lot of the educational value they didn't know. I said, well, I thought it was Trade Louisiana or Trade somewhere else. I knew she was born in Baldwin, Louisiana, which is in the Bayou Lafourche section.
Okay.
And of course, she moved to Houma after she had but I still couldn't get that trade because I didn't know. We didn't have all the Google and
Right,
you know,
exactly.
some of the stuff was coming out, but it wasn't as advanced as it is now. And with some of those ancestors are gone, you know, those are my great aunts, and you know, they didn't really have the information, or they didn't know how to relay it. Well, wrapping it up, we found out her family, I want to say her grandparents or great-grandparents, were products of the Haitian slave trade.
Okay.
And that trade must have just stuck in her head.
Right.
And then when she said that, it was like all these puzzles, certain dishes that I said, that's where that came from.
Right.
That's where using that cinnamon stick comes from. That's where the pickled cabbage comes from. When I found out later, that's called picklese. Now, we might have called it something else by the time she got, because she was born in Louisiana. It all connected from the slave ship, you know.
Okay. Well, you've given us so many options in how we approach cooking. I know you have some products to sell that are shipped across the USA.
Oh, thank you.
Where can we purchase these products here in the Shreveport-Bossier area? And also, do you offer meals that are prepared and just need to be heated, or perhaps meal kits?
I'm considering that right now, but like I said, with all the COVID, and I'm not in a restaurant anymore, so we're just kind of playing with that right now as far as placing to have them fixed, you know. I'm revising the website, so I took that down, you know, with COVID, you know, trying to get products, now it's a little harder, you know. Things are easing up some, so, but I can be found on Facebook. I can be messaged under Pandarina Sumas. It's flying, it's selling, you know, because I'm shipping it out. I put it on Facebook so that they'll know. But a lot of times you send me your email address, I send you an updated price product list. And I have payment options of whether, you know, Zelle, Cash App, but it's being shipped.
Okay.
Yeah, it's being shipped.
Now, your red beans and rice, as well as your pralines, are to die for.
They are.
Do you still sell these items?
I do. I do the red beans, and I have discontinued some items just out of change and revision. Red beans and rice are a hot seller. The pralines are big seller. I have a gumbo mix, jambalaya mix,
Okay.
and I do have flavoring oil. I have a flavoring vinegar, and I have a yam salsa.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's I kind of devised it. I talked with a cousin because our great-grandmothers were sisters. And she would say, didn't remember Miss Bessie making, I said, I remember that. And I think that might have been some of that Caribbean, I'm not sure, but I just kind of played with it and I came up with a salsa. So.
Now, you used to sell pepper sauce.
I used to, I do still sell it.
Okay.
I called it pepper sauce. Now I call it hot sauce.
Okay.
You know, pepper sauce and hot sauce can be the same, but you know, pepper sauce for the green. So it's a hot sauce.
Okay.
You can put it on some greens, you know.
Right.
But it's not that vinegary pepper sauce, you know.
Now,
that.
you know we have to talk about this Creole explosion. That, I heard, was really good. So tell us a little bit how you came about
I
with
came
this.
about it, you know, after a while, which it still is. You know, Creole is such a controversy. You know, that's a whole nother show in itself. And being a Creole of color and, you know, the ancestry that I have, I can't speak for all. And I remember my grandmother using seasonings that you kind of almost couldn't find if you didn't get them from a Spanish shop or an Asian shop. But I didn't think of it as time. So it's a combination of what Creole is. You know, it's got a little cumin in it. It's got a little something else in it. Got some of this in it. You know, I can't bury nobody today. I didn't bring the shovel.
Okay.
I left the shovel at home.
Okay.
But I came up with something that I feel, even though there's tons of Creole seasonings on the market.
Right.
But, you know,
This is your own spin
This is
on
my
it.
own spin.
Awesome.
I think I got a good spin on it because even when I mailed 12 or 13 last week.
Really?
And even though I'm used to, but even when the lady was weighing it, the different places, and she said, "What is in here?" Now this is in a bubble envelope in another bag,
And you can still smell it.
and she said she could still smell it. Now I could smell it when I left the house because I'm working in an environment where, but I couldn't smell it. But everybody in the post office could smell it.
Wow.
So it has an aroma, and when I say that aroma part, it reminds me of something my great-grandmother said, and of course I laugh about it because it still sticks with me. She had a very thick Creole patois. And even though before her death, my mother brought her up here because my other grandmother passed away. She wasn't from a generation where they ate out a lot, So a lot of times at that time, my father was military, we'd take her on the base, or every now and then we might take her to at the time Orion's. She just wasn't that going out to eat.
Right.
But if she did, because she was a cook in many restaurants, but she would always say this. We'd go and say we went into a restaurant and she'd have this look on her. I said, "Was something wrong? Can't smell no food in here." And her thing was, if you can't smell it, don't eat it. I still do that today. When I walk in a restaurant, if I don't smell no food,
you can't
I'm
eat.
like, I guess I have to get a salad.
Yeah, I got
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you walk into an establishment and you cannot smell the food, you don't need to be eating it.
That's true.
Yeah. So that aroma is what that, even though and you don't need a whole lot because
Right.
it's very concentrated, but you can put it on everything.
Now, you also have a cookbook.
I do.
Tell us how this came about and where we can purchase this book.
You can purchase it through me. And then, of course, the online company that prints them, which is lulu.com. So a lot of people out of town, you can't order it if I don't have any in stock. I like to try to keep as much as I can, but those are out of town. And if I don't have any, if they need it as a gift, they can order it through lulu.com. Believe it or not, early 2000, I really didn't plan on writing a cookbook. That just seems that was so out of my league. But that's when self-publishing was just kind of getting out there, and I still didn't know enough about that. I was checking with other people. It was really supposed to be a book just for the family, because a lot of the past generations, they had started passing away. They were products of, born in the early 1900s, so for some reason, a lot of information got to me. I just wanted to pass the information on because new generation was coming, kids were being born, and I was just going to gather information to pass it out to them. And then recipes, it just happened. It just happened.
Now, do you tell stories in there as well as recipes?
There are stories and recipes.
Okay,
in fact,
good.
I've run into people who have bought the book, and if they say, "Oh, I got your book as a gift," and I said, "Well," I always ask, "What did you find to cook the most, or what was your best?" And many of them will say that, "Well, you know what, we did fix the red beans and rice, but I like reading about your great-grandfather."
Okay.
I said, "Oh, really?"
Okay.
Because I have one thing in there, some family was like, "Oh, don't put that in there."
Right.
But it's part of what it was.
Right. Can you tell us what's next for Chef Pan? What do you have planned for the future here in the Shreveport-Bossier City area?
I'm really not sure. We've got to kind of see what this pandemic's going to do. So far, the products are selling. I'm more than grateful. I'm question-markably looking at possibly doing another cookbook.
Okay.
Cookbook/history, almost like what I have, but maybe just an extension, with the new generation, maybe involve some of them now that they're becoming parents and that kind of thing. So that's kind of hanging in the air.
Well, Chef Pan, merci beaucoup.
Quand
Thank you very much for joining us. We will definitely be looking out for your products and hope to see you around the SBC. I'm your host, Deborah Robertson. We'll see you next time on What's Happening SBC.